The legend of the Potbelly stove. You know, some of the greatest memories of my life didn't come from fancy vacations or big achievements. They came from freezing my tail off in the woods with my best friends in the Boy Scouts. And if I had to pick just one story that still makes me laugh out loud 40 plus years later, it's the night I single-handedly turned a cozy little cabin into a near disaster zone. All because I got tired of everybody complaining about the cold. It was the winter of 1973 at Camp NoBeBoSco, tucked away in the Kittatinny Mountains of Hardwick, New Jersey. The kind of cold that makes your teeth chatter like castanets and turns your breath into little clouds that hang in the air like cartoon balloons. We'd spent most of the day helping the younger scouts fulfill their requirements to advance their rank, hiking frozen trails, and generally pretending we were tough outdoorsmen. By the time the sun went down, all any of us wanted was warmth. Now, Camp NoBeBoSco wasn't your typical tent and lean-to setup. Oh no, the senior patrol, we thought we were pretty hot stuff back then, got our very own private cabin. And inside that cabin sat the star of the show, a big black cast iron Potbelly stove with a long L-shaped stovepipe that started from the top of the stove, traveled up and across that part of the cabin, and then disappeared straight into the wooden wall. Next to it was a small shovel and one lonely 20-pound bag of coal. We figured we were set for the night. The five of us, me, Rich, Bill, George, Mark M, and Mark W, settled in after dinner. We played endless rounds of Mille, the French road race card game. Every time Mark M laid down a sneaky card, he'd scream, "Coup fourré," like he just won the Indianapolis 500. We were laughing, joking, feeling like kings of the winter woods. But as the temperature outside plunged toward Arctic levels, the cabin started losing the battle. We'd take turns scooping a little coal into the stove, tiny, polite scoops, and 5 minutes later, someone would whine, "It's still freezing in here." Another scoop, more whining. It was like a broken record of teenage complaints. I finally couldn't take it anymore. I thought to myself, these guys are amateurs. They're not feeding the beast enough fuel. So, in a moment of pure unfiltered genius, or what I thought was genius, I marched over to the stove, yanked open the door, and boom, dumped the entire 20-pound bag of coal straight inside, every last lump. I slammed the door shut, dusted off my hands, and announced like a proud father, "There, that should do it." For about 30 seconds, everything was beautiful. The fire roared to life. We all sighed with relief. "See," I said, "told you I had it under control." Then, the smoke hit. Thick, black, eye-watering smoke poured out of every crack in that stove like it was auditioning for a horror movie. Someone, I think it was Bill, yelled, "You smothered it, you maniac!" We panicked. Windows flew open. The icy New Jersey wind came screaming in like an angry referee. Suddenly, we were colder than before, and now we were coughing our lungs out. But I refused to admit defeat. No way. I dropped to my knees, stuck my face right up to the stove door, and started blowing on those coals, like I was trying to inflate a hot air balloon with my lungs. Soot everywhere, tears streaming down my face. The other guys were yelling at me, half laughing, half furious. "Rich, you're gonna pass out." I just kept huffing and puffing, determined to prove I wasn't the idiot of the patrol. And miracle of miracles, it worked. The coals glowed brighter. The fire caught. Heat started pouring out. We slammed the windows shut, zipped into our sleeping bags, and I gave my victory speech. "Didn't I tell you everything would be fine?" Famous last words. Because about 20 minutes later, the cabin went from chilly to tropical paradise faster than you can say heat stroke in January. Sleeping bags got unzipped, then completely thrown off. Then we cracked one window, then two, then all of them. Pretty soon, the front door was wide open too. We were standing there in our long johns, sweating in the middle of a hard, freezing cold wave, while the Potbelly stove turned into a miniature volcano. That stove started glowing, not just red, bright, angry orange, like it had swallowed the sun. The glow crept up the L-shaped stovepipe, higher and higher, until the entire pipe was pulsing with heat. And remember, that pipe went straight into a wooden wall, a very dry, very flammable wooden wall. We watched in slow-motion horror as the wall right around the pipe started to smoke. Panic level maximum. "Fire!" somebody yelled. I grabbed the first thing I could find, an empty coffee can, filled it with water, and started frantically sprinkling the wall and the part of the hot pipe that went into it, like I was watering the world's most dangerous houseplant. Steam hissed everywhere. Then I remembered the roll of aluminum foil we'd brought for cooking. I wrapped that glowing section of pipe like a desperate Christmas present, hoping foil could somehow contain the fury of 20 pounds of coal. The cabin was now a sauna. Windows and door wide open, freezing air rushing in, yet inside it had to be 95 degrees. We were half frozen, half roasted, and completely hysterical. Amidst all the commotion, George reached his breaking point and in a moment of sheer frustration, flung the coal shovel out the front door of the cabin. I kept muttering, "I got this. I got this," while the rest of the guys were debating whether to run outside and let the whole cabin burn or stay and try to save it. Eventually, thank goodness, the coal burned down, the glow faded, the pipe cooled, the wall stopped smoking, we closed everything up, crawled into our sleeping bags, and finally fell asleep, exhausted, sooty, and smelling like a barbecue pit. The next morning at breakfast, the story exploded. We told the other patrols with dramatic reenactments and wild exaggerations. By lunchtime, we had the whole troop gathered around us. Over the years, that single night became camp legend. Bill still tells it better than anyone. He calls it the Great Potbelly Stove Fiasco of NoBeBoSco, or sometimes just the night Rich tried to burn the cabin down. And you know what? I wouldn't change a single stupid thing I did that night. Because the cold, the smoke, the panic, the aluminum foil MacGyver moment, and all the laughter that followed. That's what scouting was really about. Not just learning knots and fire safety, though maybe I should have paid more attention to that last one. It was about friendship, ridiculous mistakes, and turning disasters into stories we'd still be telling 50 years later. So if you ever find yourself in a freezing cabin with a Potbelly stove and a big bag of coal, maybe, just maybe, stick to small scoops. Or at least keep some aluminum foil handy. Because sometimes the best memories are the ones that almost set the wall on fire.